Good evening, everyone. Dr. Stacy Holweger here. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful last Tuesday of January 2025. Or if you're catching the replay, congratulations. You are in for a treat this evening. So, January, we've been talking about detoxification and different ways, different doctors are helping their clients, their patients, to be able to detox from all sorts of things, from toxicity from our environment, from our food, from our water, from our thoughts, to be able to create a better environment on the inside for us to be able to live our best quality of life. And of course, our primary focus of this topic of the month has been on utilizing LifeWaves technology with the holistic modalities that we all use in our different practices. And so tonight I have a fantastic chiropractor with me, and I'll be sharing his information here, his bio, in just a second. Before we do, I am not a medical doctor, and Dr. Dawn Warren is not a medical doctor. And so if you have questions in regards to your medical situations or conditions or medicines, please check with your doctor or your healthcare practitioner. They'll be able to guide you best. The information we are sharing this evening, of course, is for informational purposes. We are not intending to prevent, treat, diagnose, or cure anything that's going on with you. And of course, if you're pregnant or nursing or to have children, you guys know the deal, right? This information is for you to take back and, of course, discern, make your own decisions. But please know that the information tonight about LifeWaves technology is far beyond revolutionary and definitely something you should grab a notepad and pen so you can take some very copious notes. So with that, let me get you Dr. Dawn Warren's information. So, Dr. Dawn Warren, DC, with over 34 years of experience as a chiropractic physician. Dr. Dawn Warren brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to his practice. Holding a bachelor's degree in human anatomy, he has dedicated his career to enhancing the well-being of his patients through a holistic approach to health and nutrition. Dr. Warren is advanced certified in chiropractic biophysics, a testament to his commitment to providing innovative and effective chiropractic care. His extensive training in chemical engineering, I can't wait to hear about that, especially considering what we're working with here, further enriches his understanding of the human body, allowing him to apply a unique perspective to patient care. Dr. Warren was the host of a top radio talk show featuring a variety of health topics each week. He's passionate about holistic health. Dr. Warren integrates nutritional education and lifestyle counseling into his practice, empowering patients to take charge of their health. He believes in treating the whole person, not just the symptoms, enabling individuals to achieve optimal wellness. So with that, Dr. Warren, we would love to hear a little bit more in depth about your background and the things you'd like to focus on and what you do in your practice. And of course, as we had talked, as it pertains specifically to detoxification, and then take us up to the point where you discovered LifeWaves technology, and we'll kind of go from there with, everyone wants to know as a doctor, like, who introduced it to you and what made you decide.
Right. Well, to start with, I mean, number one, I was looking into going into dentistry way back and possibly being a medical doctor. But as I moved along in life, my dad was a pastor of a church, had three chiropractors. And so I got to meet them and know them, and they loved what they did. They were just passionate. They weren't down and out or anything. Not to say other doctors are down and out. It's just they loved what they did. And so that's what kind of shot me in the direction of chiropractic. But I've always pursued, what can I do better? What can I learn? How can I help with health and nutrition? Can I help with these patches? Can I help with, intermittent fasting? Whatever that is, I always want to be on the cutting edge. And so I like to read a lot and look into these things. But over the last several years, I actually have been looking into, how do I detox? How do I stay healthier? How do I avoid dementia? I had a father that developed dementia, was a brilliant speaker, and yet, life and and he was pretty healthy overall, but for whatever reason, he developed that. And I have been even more passionate over the last 10 years about what can I do to make sure I'm as healthy as I can be, and I can teach my patients the same. And so, but we have to look first at what could potentially cause toxins in our bodies. What affects that? Our environment, of course, what we breathe every day, what they're blowing as fertilizer from the sky, or all kinds of toxins. Insecticides are just terrible. Our city water system is full of chloramines, and that's something new I just did this week. Is I bought 2 new whole house filters. I've always filtered my water to drink, but I thought I've got to filter my water that's absorbing in my skin. And because that can, I just learned this from Dr. Eric Berger, I think it was, in the last few weeks, that we absorb so much through our skin that if we don't protect that as well, it's a whole nother game. And so there's stress toxicity. That's emotions. So what do you do for stress? Are you exercising? Are you are you meeting with friends? Are you staying social? Are you getting out in nature? All those things have been shown to lower cortisol and lower stress and lower how our health is affected. A diet, of course, if we're eating ho-hos and Twinkies, we're not going to be doing well on hydrogenated fats. It's going to kill us. And processed foods. I've always taught my patients, stay on the outside of the store, stay with the meats and the vegetables, and try to stay organic, try to stay, as grass raised and, as healthy as you can, away from all the processed stuff. I forget who wrote the book, the Daniel Plan. I think it was John Maxwell and another nutritional doctor, but he would say, you want to eat from the farm, not from a factory. And that's an easy way to think about it. If you're buying it in a box, there's some processed stuff going into it. The other big toxins that we overlook many times is sugar and refined carbohydrates. They are more addictive than cocaine. They cause us to have, it can lead to depression, it can lead to diabetes, it can lead to all kinds of inflammatory processes when we're eating sugar or refined carbohydrates or breads and potatoes. And so, also have to look at that diet. And I'm looking over a couple of my notes, but also, alcohol. We all enjoy it here and there, but boy, if we're overdoing that, that's also another toxin. And so now I go, what do we do to fix those things? And one thing I mentioned was watch your water filtration. Make sure you're drinking purified water that also has minerals restored. I've been on a reverse osmosis system for years that not only took everything out, but it puts back minerals in so that you're getting something. And then I usually add an additional trace mineral or Celtic sea salt, or there's a company called Drink Element, LMNT, that supplies the salts and so that our body is we're hydrated. And hydration has to be more than just water. We need sodium and potassium and magnesium. And for that reason, it's very wise to add either the Redmond real salt, the Celtic salt, find whichever one you like the best. They're all clean salts, those 3 brands. I should have brought mine. Oh, or Celergize, yes. I ordered my packets or my jug. But the other thing is looking at, make sure you're eating real food, fresh vegetables. Are you eating organic or, like we said, grass-raised things? The other issue is exercise. When we exercise, we're pumping our blood flow, we're pumping our lymphatics, it helps our brain function better. chiropractic, one of the big benefits and researched areas in chiropractic too, to encourage people to check out their own chiropractor, is when all of your little vertebrae are moving and they're not stiff and locked, you're also pumping cerebral spinal fluid up to your brain. When you become non-adjusted or locked up and stuck, it's going to limit the ability for your brain to be as focused and functioning as it would be if your spine is fully healthy. And so we look at that. Are you on omega-3 fatty acids to make sure that your nervous system is getting all the nutrients it needs? Is your vitamin D level, between 50 and 80? All these things are important for better health, better, detoxing. The omegas not only help our brain and nervous system, but they also help to trap toxins and eliminate them. The hydration I mentioned, getting proper sleep. That is a big issue too. And for people that struggle with sleep, that's been linked to dementia. It's been linked to more stress during the day, which can cause inflammation. And then the source of every disease in our bodies is inflammation. The reason cholesterol builds up in arteries is, yes, one thing is diet, but another thing is stress and inflammation. And the reason people develop Alzheimer's, inflammation. We could go through each disease process. They're all tied to toxicities or inflammation. And so anything we can do to reduce that down is going to help. I'm also a big fan. You and I talked about this earlier, Mindy Peltz. If you haven't read the book, How to Fast Like a Girl, even though I'm a guy, oh, there you go.
This one is the cookbook, though. This is Eat Like a Girl.
Eat Like a Girl.
It
Okay,
not only
yeah.
gives you the information about fasting, but it gives you lots of really good recipes, which is
I gotta buy
with
that one.
are the types of foods to eat to support hormone balancing. So, love this cookbook.
Yes, yes. And, Mindy also talks about in her book that, like, at 12 hours, this happens in your body, and at 18 hours, this happens, and 20 and 24 and 36. And so you want to, at times, get into a state of what's called autophagy, where your body is getting rid of those bad cells and bringing in the healthy cells. And so I've really spent more and more time over the last couple of years working in that way and trying to build this consistency of intermittent fasting as well. Eating less meals helps us to detox. I was taught 20 years ago it's better to graze all day like an animal, but it's not. Your body's constantly working. It's better to eat less meals and take breaks. But those are some of the initial things. Do you have some other questions or?
So I think let's talk just a little bit more about this idea of intermittent fasting or even, some people do the one meal a day or even a couple days because, I know Dr. Stan had touched on that, doing like a water fast. And for some people that may be too much to go a day or two or three initially without food, depending on their health, their medicines, right, their blood sugar, blood pressure.
Right.
So obviously you never want to do any kind of fast without consulting with your physician because everybody.
Correct.
So we definitely want to say that. But I think there's a lot to be said for being able to, number one, be mindful of controlling when you eat and why you're eating. I think that's very important. So many people just eat for various reasons.
Right.
They're mad, they're sad, they're happy, they're whatever.
Or it's just you're normal, you don't want to break your habits,
Yeah, and you talked about the sugar, and I met with an acupuncturist chiropractor this morning, physician, and he was saying he can get his patients off of everything. Opioids, all the drugs, the marijuana, the heroin, whatever, alcohol, no problem. He said, I can't find anything to get them off sugar, to anything.
Wow. Right.
on an SP6 along with the X39, of course,
Yep.
to help
Yep.
with addictions and cravings and whatnot. So let's talk a little bit about how intermittent fasting and, when you do start that meal of the day to kind of help people get off sugar, because I think it's a big thing. And, here we are at the end of January, so New Year's resolutions are gone, right?
Right. Right.
You already made them and broke them if you had them. But so what do we do now going forward to get serious here and saying, I know sugar is causing inflammation. It's causing the brain fog. It's causing the joint pain. It's causing the weight gain. It's causing the imbalances and everything.
Right. Right.
The heart, the whole 9 yards. So what would you say, going back a little bit to like what you said with Mindy and her, talking about that intermittent fasting, kind of talk us through what that looks like. Because I've been
Mindy has a great chart, and you can find it online, the stages of fasting. And that's a great thing because we're not going to memorize it tonight, probably, but at 12 hours, certain things happen. And then when you hit 18 hours, certain things happen. And everyone's a little different. And some people are triggered even by coffee, like that'll take you out of your fasting. For me, it doesn't, but I also use what's called Keto Mojo. It's a little measuring thing that you poke your finger, and it measures both your glucose as well as your ketones. And so where is your sugar, where are your ketones? Am I in in that autophagy stage, they call it, where your body is starting to regenerate cells at just an incredible rate and become healthier and remove a lot of this inflammation. It's also great for your brain. Like, ketones just feed your brain, make you feel fantastic. When you're starting in this, you might only start at 16 hours. You might move up then in a couple days to 18 hours. Eventually, you might try 20 or 22. So you move into this slowly. You just don't go in and, do a 36-hour fast off the bat. But I have hit stages where I have done 36 hours, and I'd like to get to a little longer than that even, because you get greater and greater benefits from the autophagy is what it's called. But I would look into the Keto Mojo. I'd look into that book. I learn a lot through Andrew Huberman. I know he's a favorite of yours too. The Huberman Lab podcast is fantastic. But yeah, fasting is probably one of the biggest things to pull people out when you're in a bad state, you're inflamed, your joints are hurting. Maybe COVID led you to the fog brain, and the long COVID, you're tired, you're exhausted. Fasting can really help to pull you out of whatever toxicities you might have got from COVID itself or from a vaccine.
Yeah.
So.
And I think one of the biggest and easiest things is to look at like eating in an 8-hour window. So you go, so I'm going to eat, let's say, 10 to 6. 10 to 6, I'll have, my breakfast, which is good, healthy protein, good, healthy fats. Even if you want to use like sourdough bread, avocado toast, some eggs on top, of course, stay away from the toxic stuff. But anyway, and then get a good, healthy. I think the biggest problem too with people with the sugar is they don't have enough protein, and protein really satiates you. And so if you have a good, healthy source of clean protein and fat,
right,
that body sustained through those 2 or 3
sure.
have in that window, then you can go. Don't eat after 6, and you can go until the next morning. And you may not like it the first
right.
time if you're used to the nighttime snack.
Well, and growing up, we were all taught to eat from the 5 food groups. We were taught to eat, more of the carbs than we should have. I can remember Susan Powter's diet back in the 80s. I think it was like all carbs. It was get rid of the fats, get rid of this. And it's terrible for your brain. It's terrible for all the organs. And we realize now that cholesterol is not from eating fats. It's not from eating a piece of steak or meat or anything. It's from eating carbohydrates. And carbohydrates are converted in the liver to cholesterol that builds in your artery and sticks to the walls. The cholesterol you actually eat from eggs and meat is actually digested and used in really great ways. And, there's even the newest diet I've looked into is the carnivore diet. And if you're eating wild, like I bought some elk and I bought some of the boar and I bought wild raised whatever, but they're eating all your vegetables for you, so to speak. They have the nutrition in their muscles, in their organs. And then when you eat that, you're gaining the value. And that's the thought behind that one. I still haven't fully wrapped my mind around that. I like my vegetables, but nonetheless, I'm big on also paleo diet. Milk can be very inflammatory. Grains, which we've been taught our whole life, grains are so healthy for you. The shell of grains and seeds have lectins and pectins that are very inflammatory to our gut and our health. And so cutting out some of those grains and instead having like sourdough bread that is using, as much as that sounds, radical, the white bread would actually be healthier than what we are taught our whole lives of whole grains. Or instead, if you want your whole grains, go to a sprouted grain like Ezekiel bread, because once it sprouts, the seed is gone and you're getting closer to a healthier, non-inflammatory, non-toxic type of situation.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great explanation. So food is your fuel, right? Using fuel
Yes.
is your fuel. And then, so take us now, who introduced you to LifeWave? When, like how long ago? And why did you decide that this was a technology that you would be interested in not only using yourself, but sharing with your patients in your practice?
Valerie Delinsky was a registered nurse here in town at the hospital and has always had kind of a natural focus. Doesn't want to use drugs and had been a part of other companies that were very health minded. And she randomly, out of the blue, messaged me on Facebook. And I probably took me 6 weeks to respond because we chiropractors get hit with every multi-level thing. And I had hit a place where I didn't want to hear about another vitamin company. and but at one point I just went, you know what, I'm going to listen to this video. And it was a 2-minute video. I listened to it and I went, oh my, this is photobiomodulation. And in my office, I've been into red light therapy and infrared sauna. I'm into laser therapy. All of those are all about photobiomodulation and how red light in the 600 nanometer wavelength and the 900, the 800, the 1000 all have different effects on our cells to help to detox as well. The unique thing about the patches is you don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars buying a red light therapy bed or an infrared sauna. Or I also have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber to feed my body with hyperbaric oxygen so that my brain functions at its best and my body and my cells have lots of oxygen to heal. The reason I got that was I had a concussion 3 years ago, tripping over a brand new puppy in the middle of the night, and ended up trying hyperbaric, loved the effects of it, so bought one of those. But I also am able to utilize all these things with patients. And the unique thing about the patches is they are utilizing that exact same technology in a different way. David Schmidt is just brilliant for developing this, and his team, and the X39 patch, and prior to that, the Eon or Aeon. I still don't know how to fully pronounce that, but I know that used to be the Starship patch for a while. But the X39 and regenerating cells with healthier new cells and we can't use the stem cell word, but yeah,
we learned a lot this past weekend about how Cellergize supports healthy stem cell activity with all of the ingredients that are in this product that is just pre-launched on.
Right.
So this baby right here supports that stem cell activity that we need for that X39.
Right. Yep, it does. And I also bought some of that just recently, and with the new specials that are going on. And it does. In the past, we've had patients that there might be, they say 3 to 5% of people that don't respond as well to the patches, and it's a very small amount. But that amount, they determine it might be because they're deficient in copper, or they're deficient in certain minerals or things like that. And so Celergize is going to give you everything you need to make sure you're getting the best effect out of any of the patches. They have a daytime formula, which is the one that just came out. They'll have a nighttime formula that blends with all the nighttime patches. And I'm so thankful for that as well.
Me too. And it tastes amazing.
Yes, it does. It does. I tried it at the Dallas seminar, and it did taste amazing. And I'm so jealous of your jar sitting there right now, and and I'm looking forward to my jar coming.
Yep, you'll get it this week.
I was wondering. Okay, good. I was wondering if it could be delayed shipping or not, but
Oh no, not at all.
okay, okay. Um, and I mean, we can move into some of the patches and how I see. When I look at all the patches, I look at the X39, which is about activating cells that regenerate all of any cell in our body. Um, Separate from the patches, just talking about, people pay thousands, tens of thousands. I've had patients pay $15,000 for multiple injections of stem cells directly in their back, and they got zero benefit, or 5,000 in each wrist, each $10,000 total. And it lasted for a few months and then it disappeared. The cool thing about X39 is it's got that GHK copper peptide. So, or it has a crystal lattice structure. Here's one of the patches on my hand for a different reason. It's not the X39, it's a different one. But the X39, the crystal lattice inside of there has some amino acids that when your body reflects and hits it, the bounce back signal, or what I tell my patients is, if you're in a haunted house, those mirrors that make you look fat or skinny or tall or whatever, instead of taking a good image of you and making it bad, the patches kind of reflect back a good image, a better image. And so it's taking your infrared signature, bouncing it off this organic crystal lattice made up of amino acids, and helping to like light up your GHK copper peptides in your body. And if you look in the research at GHK copper peptide, I'm not making claims about the patch per se, but the GHK copper peptide in all the research, look it up on PubMed, is loaded with it helps boost stem cells or activate. So the goal of all of this is to see that happen. And then when that happens, anytime we boost that GHK copper peptide in our body, it's going to help us to remove toxicity. Those cells, those regenerative cells are going to go. If it's a heart cell that needs help, it's going to go to a heart and become a heart. If it's a liver, it's going to go to the liver. If it's a pancreas or whatever, it's going to go there and help. And then we have the AON or the EON patch. We're looking both at anti-inflammatory action, which is what we're talking about tonight, detoxing, getting rid of inflammation. And so the EON does that. It also helps decrease anxiety. And guess what? When we don't have anxiety, we, again, decrease toxicity and we decrease inflammation. When you're stressed, you're producing chemicals and cortisol that are harmful to your body. And so these patches, can just help reduce that inflammation. X49 is similar to X39, except that it's going to help the muscles to function better. It's going to help build those and help it with endurance. So you're going to feel like walking outside a lot longer. You're going to have more endurance at the health club, Or this morning, I was on the bike, just going to it. I've got something similar to like a Peloton, and I was just riding that, and it just helps you to go longer and not feel as fatigued as fast, much more endurance. And so you get more oxygen, you get more circulation in your body, you feel better because of the X49. And that, again, helps with detox and removing inflammation. And I'm trying to think, looking at our time too. Are there other questions or things you want to draw
Yeah,
out of me?
so let's talk a little bit more about inflammation. You mentioned the Eon. Eon helps reduce inflammation, brings the nervous system into balance, and obviously being stressed, which, we've had some stressful years.
A
Not
little bit through COVID.
years, the last 5 years, and I feel like things are heading in the right direction finally.
Yes. Yes.
With the changes that are happening here, and especially in our country, which is hopefully going to really be able to help people with their health.
Right. Right.
The responsibility of their health.
Absolutely.
And have options to healthier choices, right? Which relieves some of the stress.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit more about that inflammatory process with detoxing. We've got these cells in our body, trillions of them, and these cells are inflamed. Our tissues are inflamed. Our organs are inflamed. And of course, you can see this from blood work. But let's talk about that in the role of detoxification. And what do you find, really, obviously using our Eon patch supports that 100%.
Yes. And it also helps boost the my name, superoxide dismutase, which is a powerful antioxidant and helps to reduce inflammation in the body. And anytime you do that, it also helps promote alanine. There's so many different, which helps with cardiovascular function, better circulation. It helps with cognitive function. Many of those multiple reasons that are going to help to reduce inflammation. It'll help to clear out the lymphatics, which can build up junk and gunk. And the more we move and function, we want to keep those clear as well. We want, activity in our muscles as we're walking. So if we feel like we have less inflammation and we're not as sore, guess what? We're going to want to get out and do things more. And so all of it kind of works together for a mutual purpose.
Yeah, when you can reduce that inflammation, then your cells are happier.
It also reduces C-reactive protein, which is one of the markers I always look for on my blood tests. I look at my A1C to see where my hemoglobin A1C to see, is my number still under 5? Is it, or is it getting too high? And C-reactive protein, homocysteine is another one I look at. Those are 3 big markers. If you get blood tests, try and get your doc to, order those. Always know what your vitamin D level is, and get that baby up there.
And people don't realize, vitamin D is, we say a vitamin, but really it's a hormone, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, vitally important to every aspect of our body. And when you look at preventing, right, different types of issues in the body, we know vitamin D does that.
And some of the research that I've read, I think the FDA says you only need 35 or 25. That's terrible. You don't want a level of vitamin D that low. There's plenty of research showing if you're over 50 in your bloodstream, you become almost antiviral. Like you're going to survive COVID. You're going to survive a lot of things. As you get closer to the 80, 85, 90 number, then I've heard there's research that shows you almost anti-cancer, like it starts to fight off cancer. So you want to have that number high. And I read new research as of today that said even much higher than that, which I'm still looking into the science behind that book I read, but lots of research on getting that up there. And you're totally correct. Everybody calls it a vitamin, but it's really a hormone. and you want to take it with K2 so your body absorbs it, utilizes it better for your bones. Your bone health is also very important. And, you know, if you start crumbling,
You know,
what's that?
teeth, your bones, your teeth.
Yes.
I mean, you need that vitamin D. And like you said, my chiropractor said the same thing. Keep it above 80 after your age 50 to prevent the C.
Yes, yes. And there are forms of vitamin D as well that you can get. We sell them at our office. It's called micellized vitamin D. There's a lot of new technologies out there where they can encase that fat molecule in a water molecule so that as we age, we don't absorb stuff as well, especially fats. And so this, because it's a water molecule now and the D is in the middle of that, it goes right through the intestine, and I boosted my levels like incredibly after I discovered that version. And it's a company called New Medica. I'm sure you can find it with your local healthcare provider.
Yeah.
But, and you know, there's just newer and newer forms of vitamins. If you're taking vitamins, look for quality. Don't go to Walmart or Walgreens. Yes.
No, 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 no. Don't go to Walmart, CVS. Don't just randomly buy
Correct.
stuff. You're really just buying like crushed up limestone rock.
Yes, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And even if Medicare or Medicaid is paying for you to get vitamins from their company, it's really just usually very bad quality. Companies like Orthomolecular Nutrition, New Medica, you know, there's several high quality, and it's worth every penny if you're utilizing those things.
Totally agree. Yeah. So let's switch gears here a little bit because we're reducing inflammation now. We've always talked about X3949 activating those key peptides. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about glutathione.
Oh, I love glutathione. And I know that there's certain patch placement places to put it. My thought has always been, I'm putting it right on top of my liver. And so that's where I put it. The liver and the kidneys are big detoxifiers, as well as our skin. Our skin is one of the biggest detoxifiers, but the liver is just powerful. And I want to protect that.
Where the liver is.
It is on the right side, right at the bottom of the rib cage.
Okay, there you go.
So, and I heard a study years ago, it's kind of funny, that over 50%, nothing against medical doctors, I'm not saying that negatively, but over 50% picked the wrong side when they were asked. I'm sure it was a mistake or a goof up, but yeah, your liver is on your right side, along with your gallbladder. Pancreas, you know, all those other things are on the other side. But and then, but the liver is a big organ, and it works to clear out all the toxins that we come into, and to keep that as healthy as possible is, you know, what you want to focus on. There are certain, I personally take certain liver detox things daily just to help clear that out. Usually it's dandelion and milk thistle and a few other things in those products, but something to help keep that clear, as well as like glutathione. Glutathione is a powerful detoxer. We buy other products that have glutathione in there. I used to get IV solutions, you know, putting it in my veins and sit there and do that IV drips for an hour. But the cool thing about the patch is you're wearing it for 12 hours, and it is boosting, from what I've read, by 300% your glutathione levels. What else can do that for 12 hours every day? And so you wear it for, most of these patches you wear for 12 hours, you take them off. I'm not sure if glutathione can be worn longer, but typically you don't want to develop what's called attenuation. You want your body to have a rest period so it can clear and heal and sleep. And so I always, like I said, put it on my liver, by my liver, and then I take it off at night. And I've been seeing, you know, at first, and don't do this if you're new, don't put on 7 different patches. You'll feel bad. I'm one of those.
between like myself and Laura and Leah, we just stuck all of them on day one and just kept rolling because we've been detoxing for crazy amounts of things.
Yeah. Dr. Don Verhulst and Susan told us just use the 2 patches, X39 and Eon. And I thought, I can put on more than that. I think I had 7. And then I was like, oh, I was feeling like you had a flu or something. But I learned, but as you come along, as you move along, you can start putting on more of them. And I do. So, but the glutathione by far is the big detoxing patch. And of course, X39 is going to help probably boost that even more. The new Celergize that is out, I would advise anybody and everybody to get that stuff. That is
NAC. It has NAC in it.
yes.
So the NAC is that precursor to glutathione to help that pathway function correctly. Most people
yes.
are deficient. Yeah.
And then
liver regenerates about half its mass every 30 days. So keep this in mind, right? If your liver's sluggish or toxic, or you're just you got underlying health conditions, you can help your body detox, specifically the liver. And Eon supports that, glutathione supports that, X39 supports that liver detoxification. So you think about it, people are like, how long do I have to patch? How long am I going to need to do this? Well, I mean, if you think about half of your liver regenerating in 30 days, so a 60-day period, we could technically, possibly, unless you have underlying health conditions, have a new liver in like 30 days.
right.
Possible.
Well, and the other thing I've done, and that helps, and I know you've talked about it, is the cod liver oil packs that you put on, and maybe with a hot pack.
Castor oil.
Castor oil, yes, castor oil. And so I just started doing that when you mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I've heard about it, and I just thought I'm going to do it. And then I also started doing the detox baths, and it's basically a organic kind of Epsom salt, not that brand Epsom salt, but it's that stuff. And bentonite clay, and what else?
Baking
There's
soda, organic baking soda, and borax, 20 meals.
and borax, yes. And so I went out and got those, and took a hot bath after I did my infrared sauna, and then I put my wrap on, my castor oil wrap, and make sure it's organic castor oil too.
Yes.
But that'll help to draw out toxins as well. And incredible way to detox and just help yourself.
Yeah.
And one other thing too is there's a lot of centers. I'm in South Bend, Mishawaka area. And if we have these centers opening up, they got to be in a lot of other cities, but where you could go and pay for a membership, where you've got an infrared sauna, they've got heat therapies, red light beds, all those things. So if you don't want to spend money to buy it, you can go rent it.
I was in one of those today. He does acupuncture, chiropractic, massage, infrared sauna, all the things. And we were there discussing the patches and incorporating those into all of that practice and what everyone in there does. So, yeah.
And that reminds me, I need to talk to my buddy who owns one of those centers. So, and then, I mean, we look at like Alavita and, a nighttime patch. And we talked about this earlier, that if we sleep, we're going to detox better. Our body needs that restorative 8 hours or whatever we can get to detox at night. And it's a skin patch. It's developed to help, your skin look better, your hair look better, those things. And honestly, I've been on the patches for probably since September. And so we're going on 4 months. And I end up getting a 5 o'clock shadow that I never had before. And I'll be interested to take before and after photos of my skin too. I'm not out to be a model or anything by any means, but I thought I want to take this and just see what happens. My dad had those saggy eyelids that he had to have a surgery on. And I thought, I don't want to go through that. And if this can help tighten up some skin and make it look better and vibrant, then it's worth avoiding another surgery.
Well, I mean, you think about 90 days in, and again, we're not talking about a quick fix here. This is not 9 minutes or
Right.
days, but 90 days in is when your collagen production starts ramping up again with the
Hmm.
X and the aloe vera both. And collagen is not just the skin, which we love
Right.
it for what it does for the,
Right.
but it's the glue that holds everything together on the inside. It's responsible for metabolism and digestion. And so it's very important for your collagen production, which of course declines as we age, to stay at optimal level for everything to function correctly.
Right. Tendons and ligaments and all those things. And so, people with fibromyalgia or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, they have this collagen disorder basically. And those are people that can really potentially benefit from that as well. Um, and I'm thinking of a patient that just came in today that I'm like, I gotta talk to her about this. But Alavida is another just great and then there's carnosine. And carnosine is great for brain and circulation. It's going to help your heart to, work better, your brain to think better, because as you improve circulation to the brain, then you're feeling more peaceful. You're not depressed. It's going to help lower stress and help you to function longer throughout your day because you're more thoughtful. You have, like right now, we're coming up on 9 o'clock and I feel like I'm still going. And so I take carnosine, I put it between my chest area here, and that's the area they say to do it. It also helps with visual degeneration. So it's been shown to supply the nutrients needed. So if you knew somebody with macular degeneration and things like that, it might be a big benefit to improve in those areas. It lowers lactic acid production. So when you get sore after working out and you've been out for a run and maybe you're a weekend warrior and you don't normally exercise, but then you overdo it, you build up lactic acid. So this is going to help you get rid of some of those sore areas and what feels like a toxic area to you in your muscles. Um, but that's another great patch to look into. Helps with cognitive function. So as you increase circulation to your brain, you can clear out the junk again in the brain area. And we know dementia, you start to build up plaques, you start to, you're just not getting the same cerebral spinal fluid up there. You're not getting the same, blood flow. And anything you can do to improve circulation is going to help.
Yeah, I love if two things that I would recommend that people do in discussing carnosine and glutathione. If you go to PubMed, right? PubMed,
Mm-hmm.
search that. Type in glutathione, and you'll see the pages and pages and pages and pages of benefits of glutathione. Now, we obviously don't need to inject it or to swallow it or to use it as a suppository, but I always look at Laura.
Well, and like I think the half life is if you did inject it or go and pay $500 for an infusion or something, it only lasts for X amount of hours and then it's gone.
Too. Yeah.
2 hours. Okay. So only 2 hours. You put a glutathione patch on and you're boosting by 300% and you're doing it for 12 hours.
Mhm.
And then you take it off and you do it again tomorrow. And that costs you a couple bucks a day.
Yeah.
And for a month, maybe $70 or something. So it's so value. All these patches are so worth the value compared to anything else somebody can do.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing that I am just loving because it just helps my practice and people with their inflammation, people with all the other things. Yes, we're helping them with their biomechanical and their biophysic problems, but this is going to help with the inflammation and all the other areas.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about energy enhancer because most people wouldn't think energy enhancer helps with detoxification. But what would you say about that patch?
It does help, and Dr. Don Verhulst laughs about this that he started it, and then one of his kids was saying he was getting a little chunky or something. And so he started doing it, but it helps you to burn more calories, burn fat. And a lot of toxins are stored in the fat. So if you can burn more fat, you're going to be helping to detox what is stored in that fat. And so it'll help in that way. And if you have more energy, you're going to be exercising more, you're going to be staying more active. You're going to feel Valerie, who signed me up, Valerie Jelinski, her mom, we were at the Saturday event at their house, the 4-hour LifeWave event, the vision meeting. And her mom goes, don't ever give that Valerie the energy enhancer again, because she's already too energetic. She was like buzzing on that stuff. So I have found it just rejuvenates me and keeps me going longer and longer. Although just X39 and Eon has that effect for me. That it just boosts your energy throughout the day. You sleep better, you function better, and all those things again are going to help detoxing.
Yeah, and when we also look at the energy enhancer, and of course, let's go back a little bit to January, coming to
Yeah.
if you had any New Year's resolutions that may have fallen to the wayside about your waist. I didn't mean to say it that way, but wasn't that funny? Your waist. We look at that energy enhancer for triggering beta oxidation, which turns body fat into fuel, which ends up burning an extra 300 to 600 calories per day. That can equate to a half a pound to a pound of fat loss per week. I said turns body fat into fuel. And that's if you're not overeating, of course, definitely figure out how much you need every single day based on your age, your weight, height, all of that. But looking at the energy enhancer, you can also know that this patch is huge for turning over the lymphatic system. And like you said, when you're reducing inflammation, when you're sleeping better, you have more energy, you feel like going for a walk, right? You want to get out there, you want to do, you want to move, and you want to do it on a consistent basis. Well, the energy enhancer works at the mitochondrial level to increase your own energy, your own ATP from your cells. And so we do want to move more, right? We have more stamina, more endurance, but that lymphatic system is what is turned over when we're exercising. So for those of us that do exercise, we have less toxins in our body because we are, of course, expelling them by our lymphatic system, moving things out through our urine, of course, and then through our breath. So energy enhancer is going to help that lymphatic system, even if you can't exercise, which I don't know a single person on the planet that can't do some type of exercise.
Correct.
Seated in a chair, you can just, do body weight. I mean, you can
absolutely
do goals. There's things every
My staff have been making fun of me because I found a video that said if you just do 10 squats every hour, every 2 hours, it's going to extend your life. It's going to do this or that. And most people, when they decline and get older, guess what they can't do? They can't squat. They can't get out of a chair. No. And so one of the biggest things we push our patients on is make sure you learn how to get out of your chair without holding on. Learn how to, do these things. Deep breathing is another great way to detox. Learn to breathe. I call it box breathing. For 5 seconds, you breathe in real deep, hold it for 5 seconds, slowly let it out for 5 seconds, and keep it out for 5 seconds. And you repeat that pattern for 8 or 10 minutes in the morning, and you'll find you feel like alive. It's getting oxygen into your body, and getting out in the sunlight in the morning will help you because it turns on in the first 45 minutes of the day. If you can get out for 10 minutes, it'll help with all these things as well.
Yeah, so true. Definitely got to get moving, got to get those quads. And that is a direct correlation. The quad muscles will determine your longevity, your lifespan as well too, for sure.
One thing, if you all want to try something, is get on the floor in a cross your legs, and then if you can stand up from that position without your hands or without a device, that is highly correlated to longevity. And the more you're able to do that, you will outlast everybody.
Exactly. I think people, they forget, and I think we've got about, 70% of the population that don't exercise at all. So about 30% of us that do, but they forget because we're so wrapped up in the moment, right? The
Right.
wheel, the hamster wheel that we're on, people aren't really thinking about long term, the things that they're doing on a daily basis. Those squats, right? While you're just, hanging out there in your office, or the extra breathing that you do in the morning, maybe while you're, getting ready, doing your normal stuff, or
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time to get outside. Those little bitty things compound, just like our patches do. And we've got about 4 minutes left, Dr. Warren. So for those of people that are brand new, obviously we didn't start with this because we really wanted to wrap up detoxing. But for those of people that are brand new, let's just really quickly tell them how this patch works and all the patches work. When we put this on, this X39, and what happens there, because we've talked about each of them and what they do, but just kind of give a real quick little rundown on this.
Yeah, these patches again, all of us we've probably seen the Navy or the Army or the Marines. They have those night vision goggles, and when they see somebody at night, the middle of them might be red hot, then it might be orange, then it might be yellow, and what they're picking up is the infrared signature off of their body. So these patches are made up of a nano. I'm going to read this because it's hard for me to spew it all out, but they're engineered with a nanoparticle crystals made from an organic amino acid, salts, and sugar, and it's embedded in like a lattice structure. It's specifically these crystals reflect that infrared signature that's coming off of us, and it mirrors back a correct, better signal that can stimulate different processes and different amino acids in the body to like upregulate. Like with the glutathione, it helps to boost that up by 300%. And so by doing that, it just is using this photobiomodulation concept of boosting those things. And is that
Yeah.
helpful? Yeah. And
So we put our patches on. We mentioned earlier we put them on, a lot of them in the morning. Obviously, Alavita, Silent Nights are nighttime only. X39, 49, Energy Enhancer are daytime only. The others can go back and forth. Why again? Mention it again, because some people do feel like, oh, I should probably, more's better, right? Why would you only want to start with a couple, one or two patches, and why only 12 hours?
they call it attenuation. If you do something too long, you never give your body time to recover. That's why sleep is important. That's why water is important. It helps to flush it all out. So you want to wear them for 12 hours, take it off, tape it onto your dog or cat's collar. It'll continue working. The patch works for up to 24 hours, but you don't want to be wearing it for 24 hours. You want to give your body a break to let it heal, to let the liver clear things out, the kidneys clear things out. And 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 that way you're just not always detox, detox, detox. You got to let your body actually detox it out and clear it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Warren, for being here this evening. Thank
Oh,
you
it's always fun.
sharing all of your valuable insights and information on everything to do with detoxing. So grateful you took the time to
And
help.
I've also learned a few more things tonight from you. So
We're always learning from each other.
we are. We are.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for wrapping up our incredible month on detoxification with the other doctors and practitioners that shared as well too.
I appreciate the invite and am thankful and humbled. So thank you.
We'll look forward to seeing you all in February for Heart Month. Get ready for that. We've got some incredible things lined up for you guys. So have a fantastic evening. We'll see you again on a Zoom soon. Thank
Good
you,
evening.
everyone.
Yep.